to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon. Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and joining me today, my fellow nerds, to one side is the Lynn Dudgeon.
Heyo!
Oh, switching it up ever so slightly. You got me a little buzzing there for a minute. I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Gotta pump it up.
A little bit of Tim Allen in there almost. And joining us, Lynn, is the good old boy, Nick Thomas. How you doing, Nick?
Fantastic with a tank full of awesome.
Only a little bit. Oh my goodness!
Tank full of awesome.
Fresh off the jet lag from this stream. I don't know where I'm going with that. Let's just move on.
How about you, Joe?
No, I'm doing good. I'm juiced in the good ways.
Whoa.
Yep, nope.
As long as you're juiced and not milked.
Ooh, Manergy.
Manergy.
Banana.
Shout out to all you early millennials and YouTube. Early YouTube. Anyway, look up Manergy, guys, if you're curious about that reference. I will not explain it here. I don't have.
And then there's also bear blasting and hump catting. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you guys can Google that too. I don't care because it should be a night of fun. It's called the It's called the what's that called when you go down the rabbit hole? It's the rabbit hole of YouTube, guys.
Yeah, don't Google it.
Be careful.
Look up Power Thirst. Power Thirst.
Power Thirst. Google Power Thirst.
Please don't Google hump catting. That could turn out very badly.
Definitely don't Google bear blasting either.
Or Eggo waffles. New product, blue waffles. Don't worry.
No, do not Google that. Which, by saying that, encourages people to do so. So, I'm just going to say, if you want to throw up in your mouth and all over your floor, go ahead. Google it. But you didn't hear it from us, or did you?
Started the rabbit hole. No.
We are trying to be a little cleaner here. Nothing has been said that's inappropriate. It's all up to you on what you guys find on the internet. And I must warn you, it goes past the R rating. We're not, condoning any of it. So, but this is a free country.
Interpretation is on you.
Yeah,
you do.
It's all up to you. But guys, you know what? Shenanigans having been thrown out the window.
Said it.
What?
That place with all the cool stuff on the walls.
Someone's gonna get pistol whipped.
No, Nick, come back. Nick walked away from the mic and threw his headset down. It was quite abrupt. Oh, hi, Nick. We're gonna go back to being civil.
No habla English?
And clean. No. Well, guys, if you didn't know, hopefully you guys, if you all had an interest in Stranger Things, hopefully you guys checked out our last recording. It wasn't an official episode. It is our first actually labeled bonus episode. I did that because we have intentions of doing more deep dives on other things, other shows, movies, franchises, things like that, where it's a focused.
So deep.
That's right, Nick. A focused conversation on a set topic that we thoroughly love and enjoy. And guys, little bit of housekeeping here up front relating to that. If you guys want to be in on that concept, if you guys want to suggest topics, movies, or shows where we get deep nerdy and dirty with it, let us know. Shoot us an email, nerdentials@gmail.com, or hit us up over Twitter and Facebook under Nerdentials. Guys, just shoot out a little suggestion or a message or a comment down below on the YouTube version here of this video. If you guys want to see our ugly mugs, we are on YouTube. This is a podcast, but we do have video form. You guys can also find us across all podcast locations: Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, you name it, we're there. But now that all that's out of the way, guys, seriously.
Aren't we all in one fantastic place?
Give me a second, Nick. Give me 1 second. I'm laying out the rest of this. What I'm saying is, leave a comment or suggestion on those deep dives. If you guys enjoyed the Stranger Things 3 Season 3 deep dive, which was our longest ever recorded episode.
So deep.
A rousing 3.5 hours, I know. And guys, we broke it up into parts on YouTube, and there's timestamps, so hey, enjoy the parts you want to enjoy or listen to the whole thing if you're fans of it. But the thing is we want to do that for other topics. There's a Rick and Morty one coming out soon. We'll get to that later. I know, Nick. Lynn,
if Matt doesn't get around to it,
we'll have to
get there.
Yeah, we'll have to. But what I'm saying, guys, is if you guys got thoughts or interests and you want to hear more deep dives on other things, let us know. And as always, nerds, you can find all of this stuff, everything, every way to communicate with us through one crazy location, as Nick alluded to earlier, nerdentialsmedia.com. That's right. I've got nothing else more to say. You heard it here first. The website where all our wonderful nerdy brains converge into one location. So, guys, I know you're waiting to hear the content. I know you're waiting for the advertised content because you saw it in the thumbnail, you saw it in the title of this episode. You're like, oh snap, the Nerdentials crew is going to talk about D23, the Disney coverage. We're coming in a couple weeks late, and guys, we're sorry. We had some literal, actual computer technical difficulties. We attempted 2 different times to record said information, and my poor computer...
Apple!
No, Nicholas. I will not let you put that name in vain this time, only because this was our recording software's malfunction. I updated our recording software, and somewhere in that update, it caused my computer to be like, whoa, there's something new here, and I don't like it. And it caused our recordings to freeze. And lo and behold, over the next few days, another update came out for that same said program. It shall be named, remain nameless. It fixed it. Me and Lynn just did 40 minutes of recording on our Gears of War playthroughs.
And coming from the resident IT guy, it's always important to update your third-party software.
Always. And I do use a third-party software for this podcast. So, guys, we're currently, fingers crossed, running full steam tonight. Full steam. So much steam. I'm sweating tonight. I apologize. I know you...
He's moist.
I know you podcasters cannot see it, but if you're on YouTube, you might see it.
He's glistening.
We're going to move on from all that disturbing descriptions and get into the bulk of this thing. Guys, this episode is all about the news today. We've got reviews for other things coming up next week, or the week this drops. We're going to review some things, some shows we've been checking out. Little teaser, little this and that. We've been watching some Netflix originals, some other things have been dropping, some Amazon Prime stuff. But today is about the Disney Plus service and everything that frickin' Disney announced that they're wanting to fill our nerdy gills full of with pleasurable eye candy and nerdy content, okay?
Good as the show I went out for.
Whew.
Hey,
You know what? At a lower cost than other services we're currently paying for. So, hey-o to you, Lynn. There are some
pay to have.
Yep, pay to have fun. There are some positivities here. So, that being said,
Or let your friends pay for it and use their account information.
we'll have to see.
I would never condone stealing from companies like that.
We are not sailing the high seas here, my good man.
You know,
We do things.
I don't know what their stringent policies are going to be, but I've heard that Disney is going to be a little more hardcore on how easy it is to share your account. I don't have any actual information. That's just a rumor I heard that Disney's going to make it a little harder for you to share. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But we'll dive into it when we find out when it launches on the 12th of November. That's right. Let's just get right into it, guys. This is the news topic for the night. We don't have any current weekly news. We do have stuff about Apple and stuff about Amazon and other things I'm continuing to tease you guys with that's not coming in this episode. I apologize. But we're finally jumping in to the Disney crap that we love.
Disney crap.
So let's just do it, guys. Here we go. So, first up, D23 gave us all the dirty details about
so dirty.
the cost, the timing, and in a recent article that came out, we found out how much of that content is going to be there, not just in original programming, but also in catalog backlog format, like the library of this service. And it seems to be getting nice and full as we hear more and more about it. So, guys, right off the bat, the quick dirty details that you've probably heard elsewhere, but you're going to hear our nerdy thoughts about it. That's why you're here today. So Disney Plus, gentlemen, is coming in on November 12th, and it will be available for $6.99 a month. That is $1 under the cheapest Hulu option. It is $1 under the cheapest Netflix option, but a lot of us pay for the 2-screen option, which is like the $12 range on Netflix, and Hulu for ad-free service, you got to pay a buck or two more to get an ad-free experience, you know?
And then you could pay for stuff like HBO and stuff like that.
And HBO currently is $15 a month. Granted, it's great content, but if you're paying for the app alone without any satellite or cable connection, it's $15 by itself per month. You know, it's up there. Same with Stars and a handful of other services. But so right now, with how much Disney has, we know that for $7 a month, that's not bad at all to get us intrigued, at least, knowing how much Disney freaking owns at this point. So if we talk about the major categories, we've got Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, National Geographic, and the recent acquisition of 21st Century Fox, or 20th Century Fox, sorry. Did I skip one? Marvel. Oh my god. Marvel.
Estimated to cover about 7,500 movies and episodes.
Yeah, and by episodes, that's kind of a bloated number when you think about, okay, what that's saying is like they're talking about 10, 15 episodes in a single season. Some older shows, maybe 20 plus episodes in a season. So that adds up quick when you start saying, okay, 7,500 TV episodes and movies. But to paint a little bit of a more bigger, obvious picture that you guys can maybe grasp, because episodes are kind of hard to be like, how many shows does that actually mean? We don't know about show numbers, like title-wise, but we have recently gotten a list of movie title numbers that came out after Disney offered to the Netherlands a 2-month free trial early access before it drops here. So right now, anyone over in the Netherlands, maybe UK area, currently is able to try Disney Plus now. And what was released online is over 850-ish plus movie titles, which go everywhere, including Pixar, Marvel, all of those, and Disney originals, and so forth and so forth. But in that mix, we are also included titles that maybe you didn't know were Disney owned because they come from a third-party distribution company. I forget, and I should have looked it up and put it in the notes earlier. I don't know if either of you guys know, but Disney owns one or two other film distribution companies where they put their non-Disney friendly, like they might be rated R, they might be adult, they're not exactly kid-friendly films, but they get put out under a different, like Miramax is one company. Did you find it, Nick? I knew you were probably looking into it.
Right now, I got the list here. What companies does Disney own in the name? They have ABC, ESPN. They have 80% of the stake of ESPN.
Right, for sure.
Touchstone Pictures.
Touchstone is one, right? That's right.
Then there's Marvel, Lucasfilms, A&E. They have 50% of theirs. History Channel, they own 50% of them. They own 50% of Lifetime. Pixar, Hollywood Records, Vice Media, they have 10% of that, and Core Publishing.
Okay, what was that movie? Touchstone. Touchstone is where a lot of movies that hit theaters that do not have the Disney label above the title, those are films that they put out. And now Disney has Fox films as well that they can now put out that do not have to have the name Disney above the title, but they can distribute films through that Fox label, and that allows them to cater to a multitude of audiences. And so, like, for instance, one that hit me, I only went through the A's because there were so many movie titles listed, and I'll put a link to the movie list that I found online that's coming on Disney+. But Adventures in Babysitting from 1986 or 87, there nowhere in that title does it say Disney. I think that came through Touchstone. But films like that, like films you wouldn't even think that were Disney, are going to be on this service, and it's all to compete with, like, Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, So that alone excites me for the $7 a month, aside from getting all the things from Disney that we typically love, just like the different franchises that we love that come from them. A bit of old news, and it's kind of like, it saddens me I didn't have the money for this, guys, but before September 2nd, they were offering D23 members, which you, at the time, could have signed up for free and become a member. They were offering a 3-year subscription at 30-something% off, which at the time, a lot of people did it. Basically, you're committing to 3 years of their service for like almost $150, but what it broke down to is basically you're paying $4 a month for 3 years for this service is what that offer was, and I wished I could have gotten in on it, but yeah, it's all good. $7 is still not a bad deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two other film groups that they used to own, but they sold right before the Fox deal to make money for it.
Yeah.
Was Miramax Films and Dimension Films.
Interesting. I knew one or both of those were involved at one time. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to throw out a couple basics on who represented all the things coming out during this event, just to kind of whet your guys' appetites a little bit about what we're about to talk about. So, creative leads across all of Disney gave guests a first look at what was coming to Disney Plus during this event. Got people that came out on stage to talk about these things were Sean Bailey, who's the president of Walt Disney Studio Motion Picture Production. We had Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, and Gary Marsh, president and chief creative officer of the Disney Channel Worldwide. So all these big heads that are managing each of these different areas came out and did all the different introductions for all these things that came out. So, guys, at this point, I'm going to bust out the title of the show or series of the movie or series coming out, give you a brief rundown of what that is, and then I'll just collect your guys' thoughts on excited, not excited, don't care kind of thing. Or how you think, oh, this might impact the audience as a whole. And a lot of this, some of this, in my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of some of these things. Once we get to like the Star Wars Marvel stuff, we're gonna probably talk a lot more. And who knows, listeners, you guys might be surprised. Maybe Nick or Lynn might be a fan of a couple of these things that I wasn't aware of. We're about to find out. First series that was announced, and I hadn't heard about it until this event. It's called Encore. The one thing that intrigues me about this is that it is produced and being led by Kristen Bell. I absolutely adore her. She's got an amazing personality. Her and Dax Shepard, her husband, are an incredible couple. I would call them a power couple of comedy. They are just... I love them to death. I love his podcast, yada yada. I'm done gushing. But so what she is doing for this show is she brings together a former high school musical classmates and tasks them with recreating their original performance in a reunion unlike any other, they say. The synopsis here says, emotions run high as former students face faded friendships, former flames, self-doubt, and killer choreography. All very cheesy and over the top. If you guys are familiar listeners with High School Musical, you have a basic concept of what this is going to be. Through it all, each unlikely group of friends, with the help of Broadway's biggest and brightest stars, just might pull off a standing ovation worthy performance of musicals like The Sound of Music and Beauty and the Beast. Now, before I pass it on,
just to be clear,
go ahead, Nick.
This is not a reunion of High School Musical people.
No.
This is her High School Musical.
Okay.
Classmates.
Okay. What I'm going to say right off the bat is basically this is a reality show, essentially, that's original for the Disney Plus service. And Nick seems to have a little more knowledge on this, but I will put forth one thought for me. I might check out the first episode purely because Kristen Bell is behind it, but I don't personally have any connection with her history, and I'm also not... I've never really invested any time in anything about High School Musicals or the other properties related to it. So I'm going to say I'm interested. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to pass it off to you, Nick, for a second, just to get your brief thoughts on it. What do you think about this?
I just watched the trailer. It looked like like you said, it was definitely a reality TV series. Kristen Bell goes back to her high school and gets together her people that she was in a musical in high school with.
See, I didn't know
and
that.
It shows how their lives has changed. Shows what their life is now with all the kids and stuff like that. And basically everything you were saying before, all these former flames, the choreography, different things like that. But
the drama.
But it's definitely going to be a real life version of kind of what
High School Musical pretends to be. High School Musical itself is like a dramatized, fictionalized idea of what High School Musicals can be, for sure. Lynn, do you have any background thoughts or anything about this? Is this kind of like it's interesting, but whatever?
I will check it out until it gets boring.
What do you think? What do you think your wife would feel about it? Does Robin have any interest in High School Musicals?
It's Kristen Bell. It'll definitely get at least, I'd say, the first 5 episodes watched at least.
Same with Amy. Amy will purely click on it because Kristen Bell is in it or part of it. Yeah. Yeah,
that's where it's at. There.
That's fine, dude. I structured these notes to be thorough and detailed for our listeners, just to be like, hey, here's what happened at this event, everything out on the door.
I mean,
It's not gonna,
I mean, if we're being honest, I'm gonna hit it until I really feel I need to quit it. So,
spoken like a true Lynn. That's all I gotta say. All right. Well, guys, moving on. This one doesn't help our situation or interest any further, but I want to throw it out there as another series coming out. And I gotta say, just purely on the reaction of the crowd, this is one of those awkward moments where it gets announced and the crowd doesn't like everything else that got announced, got cheers and claps. This is one that got very mediocre reception upon initial announcement, even with the trailer. And Lynn's got his arms up like, yeah, I know, it was awkward. But here's the thing. They announced this, like, it's cool. It sounds like it'll be fun for maybe a younger audience. But at the same time, it wasn't widely received by the entire D23 hall at that convention. List off.
wait, you mean summer camp? So
Much so. But just for the sake of being thorough, again, guys, listeners, fans of us, I'm time-stamping this entire episode. So if this is not anything you're interested in, you can skip ahead if you want to, but we're just going to briefly cover it for the sake of covering it. And this D23 is such a huge event. It's the only reason I want to cover all these things in detail, even if it's not something that we're interested in. Maybe some of our listeners might be interested. I don't want to shame anyone for loving High School Musical, okay? That's all I'm saying. So, real quick, just what it is. It's a 10-episode scripted series. It's set at the real-life East High, where the Disney Channel original movie and its sequels were filmed. I'm trying not to sound sarcastic, listeners. I am so sorry.
Most people remember this series because of one of the actors started here.
There's a couple actors that started there. Who are you speaking of?
Mr. Zac Efron.
Okay. Thank you. Nick, it's not in my notes. Zac Efron's not in the notes, so by all means, divulge information if you've got the background. Lynn is trying so hard not to laugh no, he's not trying hard. He's muted, so Lynn, laugh as hard as you want. We're just going to run through this quickly. It follows a group of students as they count down to the opening night of their school's first ever production of High School Musical. Students as they count down to the opening night of their school's first ever production of High School Musical. The show, sorry, I am stumbling over my own words. It will have meta references and some docu-style elements. It's a modern take on the classic. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to bash this, but the way they worded it, it's a take on the classic from 15 years ago. I'm going to throw this out there. Lynn is laughing so hard while muted. Lynn, you should just unmute yourself. It's okay. Like, this is our podcast. We're just covering it to cover it quickly. I'm sorry I put the notes together, sir.
No, you're good. Other than Zac Efron, what is something else that came from High School Musical?
Awkward silent moment.
No.
Okay.
I mean, even if you want to call Zac Efron good, I didn't hate him in Neighbors. I didn't hate him, but honestly, Seth Rogen made that movie.
Well, we'll move forward.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna mute myself again.
Okay, well, anyway, It's a drama. It's a 10 episode dramatization. A very meta show about High School Musical. I'm gonna leave it at that. I was way too thorough and detailed on these notes. Uh, I hope Nick, being that kind of guy with detailed notes, hopefully will at least appreciate my effort in this. I I'm gonna kind of move forward. I don't feel the need to divulge all the things I wrote down. I want to.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched every single one of them
I
because my wife.
there you get throwing your wife under the bus, dude. Like I was just gonna say props to you, and I will still say props to you for being a good husband, regardless. Okay,
We weren't married yet. I was trying.
well, you're married now, so that's the fruit of your labors, right? Okay, moving on for the sake of Lynn's sanity, guys.
Sanity. Lynn doesn't have sanity.
I mean, I was gonna give him a little bit of credit. Anyway,
Lies and slanderous filth.
stop it. Well,
Continue.
hopefully the next segment will not crash and burn so much. Of all the live action interpretations that are adaptations that Disney has put out there, I'm a little surprised that this one is not getting a theater release. I mean, surprised because Disney, in the face of all adversity, seems to not care about putting out adaptations of all their live action, or sorry, an adaptation of all their classic animated films, because to be honest, I think all of us agree it's like a 50-50 on whether or not it's good or not with all their live movie adaptations. In general, I think we can all just kind of say, yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 if it's going to be good or not.
Nope, I'm okay. Just leave it the way it was.
We call it bellow note.
Okay. I don't know what that means, Nick, but based on what Lynn just said, he basically rejects all the adaptations based on his response. And Matt's not here to vouch for himself, dear listeners, but I think he might agree or disagree on some of these. But,
Wait, you don't like any of the adaptations?
well, that's what Lynn's shaking of the head appears to be. He doesn't like any of them. You don't like any of them at all, Lynn?
Leave it alone. It was fine how it was.
No, okay, so not to go on too much of a tangent because we do want to barrel through these lists, but I just have to ask you: have there been any that you liked even a little bit? I'm talking like Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, Lion King, any of them, even just a little bit.
Have they added to the story or changed it at all?
That wasn't my question, Lynn. I know what you're going for. I know what you're going for.
That's my question. That's my question.
That's not. I'm not gonna. No, because I will.
It's more of the same.
Okay, let's.
It's more of the same with different aesthetic appeal.
Hold on.
That's all that it is.
This is
at.
not going to be a debate at all. I'm not
debating.
What I'm looking for.
Well, like
is a single statement from you that doesn't pose another question. I don't need a question. I'll answer your question. I'll answer the first one you asked. I'll answer.
There were a few that actually added to the story.
Hold on.
Made it better.
Nick, hold on. I know you're more open-minded and have maybe other. I'm not criticizing Lynn by saying that. Hold on. What? Whoa! Now hold on. Oh my goodness! This is not going to be. No, we're not going to discuss the validity of adaptations right now. That's not the point of this episode. I do, however, just want to get your statement, Lynn. A very direct one that doesn't pose any other questions, because that's how you work. I know you like to philosophize and throw the question back at everyone when I ask something so controversial. I don't care if it's controversial. I don't care if you hate all of them. I just want a single statement that tells me how you feel about them. And it could be as simple as, yeah, I pretty much wish none of them existed because I think the originals were better. And I will accept that, and we will move on. I just want a singular opinion statement on the adaptations in general.
Okay, single statement on the
You
adaptation.
can elaborate if you need
Okay.
to. It's fine.
I can get more money off of my rehashed work? Sweet. There's my statement.
I will leave it alone because I have opposing questions that would stir up a much longer question, because then I would open up the doors, just as a teaser for a future episode, listeners. I will throw this at Lynn and then I will shut him down because I do not want a response to this. My additional question that would lead to a whole nother episode would be, okay, how do you feel about all other adaptations ever made? Across the board. I'm talking about reboots and reinterpretations of everything that's ever been done classically or otherwise. I'm talking about book adaptations across the board. I'm talking about adaptations of freaking adaptations.
Okay.
Nicholas, I'm going to ignore your Maleficent bullshit because that's not an adaptation. No, it's not, because there is no original that it is based off of.
Maleficent is from Sleeping Beauty. It's based off of that, and they're trying to tell her side of the story.
Yeah, it's not an adaptation of a story that was already told.
They're making it a 3-part series that's leading into the Sleeping Beauty movie.
It's not an adaptation of a story already been told. I will stick by my statement in court. In the court of law, my statement cannot be refuted because there is not an original story that it is reinterpreting. It is telling a new story off previous material.
I would like to throw my 2 cents
Go for
into
it,
the hat
and then
for
we'll
that.
move on.
In that sense right there, I feel like that is an original story.
It is, in my opinion. Maleficent is an original story.
My thing is, if you go back, there is no movie that is from her side of the story.
There's no book
So I
or
feel
literature that comes from her side of the story either.
That one is an original. But if we go to some of the others, like The Jungle Book, or let's see.
Or how about the Paint by Numbers Lion King that's literally copy pasta of the original?
Yeah, those ones are the ones that kind of ruin it for me. So that's where I'm at, and we can touch on that one later.
Again, this could be a whole separate episode. I won't interrupt the flow of these things by getting any deeper than that. But we can hard cut here if you need to say something to get off your chest. Nick, do you agree or disagree with what I just said about Maleficent? I'm not hating on the movie. I've never seen it. But my wife has, and she's explained it to me thoroughly, and I know for a fact through my own research, there is no original work that comes from her perspective.
The original book did. There was quite a bit.
You would be the one to dig that up, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying from Disney putting out a movie is from my standpoint.
Her story that kind of tells her backstory was Little Briar Rose.
Okay, well...
Was it made by Disney?
No, it was made by the original author who wrote the fairy tale.
That's... Anyway, okay, so I know Lynn's perspective is Disney content.
My dig is the animated movie versus the live action bullshit is what I'm at. That's my dig.
So, there's this...
Maleficent, yeah, rock on, keep going, make more Maleficent movies. I'm down.
So, Lynn's opinion is that direct recreations of older content have not led to his enjoyment. Is that correct?
Where there is not new canon and it is word vomit of old content is what kills it for me.
You go. I will not criticize your statement there because there's no criticism to be made.
My thing is I appreciate the hand stroke as opposed to the keystroke. If we're being, it takes a little bit more effort to paint and draw than it does to move a mouse and a keyboard. I get that there's still a little bit of talent required, but there's something for like a lithograph and the different layers that it takes for the old animation, and I appreciate those.
Lynn, I love your perspective, and what I'm about to say is not any argument or disagreement. I'm just adding to what you're saying. Is I think for you, based on all of that, is even if it's really good, even if it's identical, you just don't have any interest in them redoing them, regardless of variances or photocopying. Basically, you love the originals as they are, and you do not care about them redoing these. And in your opinion, as a lot of us joke, it is a cash grab for them.
I mean, okay, so
I'm not putting you in a box.
yes.
I'm just generalizing.
No, I'm not. At the end of the day, I guess my argument is how many remakes of the same content where the storyline hasn't changed and it's word for word are you willing to go to theaters and put money into when the only thing that's changed is the voice actor? I mean,
I get what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't mean to be a dick, and I mean I get that there's there's artistic value to it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, I'm gonna go. I don't know.
No,
if I've already seen it,
yeah.
I appreciate the original actors, and that's where I'm at.
No,
I mean,
I think we all respect that, dude. I get it. I get it anyway. Like I know what you're saying.
I didn't mean to offend you guys by my opinion.
You're not, dude. I think the point of this podcast, the point of our group, is to share these varied opinions. You didn't offend me at all. Like, I will be the first to say, in our group, being the easy to please guy in this group, that I am entertained by some of the remakes. I enjoy some of I will say that there are some that are not necessary, and maybe I thought, oh, that was kind of a waste of time. And I think Nick will kind of maybe come up alongside me similarly, and maybe he appreciates more of them than I do. I don't know. We're not going to break down all the ones that we like or don't like, but I think
any of the ones that are just a CG rendition of an animated one, mostly like the Lion King and the Lady and the Tramp, I don't see the point.
Well,
I will have to give it to the guy who was the voice of Olaf.
Yeah,
who was also in the Beauty and the Beast remake. He did a good job, a killer job in the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Mm-hmm.
I will give that to him. That probably my favorite character out of that movie was him.
Yes. I agree with that. When we're talking about opinions on the different remakes, absolutely. And I like how you name dropped the title that we're about to cover briefly, but Nick, Lady and the Tramp. The thing is this seems a lot like The Lion King. And when I heard that The Lion King was coming out as a quotation marks live action remake, I thought that was hilarious because everything about The Lion King, there's no human actors anywhere to be found. So the only thing it can be is a photorealistic CG remake. It can't be called a live action remake on any level. I don't want to have that discussion. I know all of you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous to call it a live action remake. It doesn't even fall under the category of the other remakes, because the other remakes.
If we're going to like the remake of the Broadway musical, that would be a remake. live action.
And the one difference that we're about to talk about moving forward through our list is the whole Lady and the Tramp film that's coming out exclusively on the Plus service. Lady and the Tramp is being put out, and based on the trailer that I'm pretty sure all of us watched, I know me and Nick watched it. I'm sure Lynn checked it out.
Yeah.
The dogs are definitely real until they start talking, and then obviously there's a lot of really crazy amount of CG for the talking. The thing I didn't expect is I didn't know what it was going to be going into the first few seconds of the trailer. I saw the reason I say that is I was like, okay, either this is going to be a Beethoven Disney movie or a Old Yeller or a Homeward Bound movie where they use real animals and there's no movement of the mouth. It's just voice actors over trained animals. But they went full, and part of me likes the fact that they animated like full blown CG them talking because that's the closest to the cartoon. But the other part I appreciate, and the fact that they couldn't escape the humans in this movie. Like the Lion King has literally no humans in it. It's all in the jungle, the savannah. There was no other option for Disney other than to do 100% CG. There's just no way you can train any amount of live animals for that. And that was Lynn. That was one of those remakes that I think was literally like might seem like a fun idea if it was 100% free, but to charge people tickets, it's like none of us care. It's 100% recreation in computer graphics. Computer graphics are great nowadays, but it's literally a pointless endeavor to do something with where it's an all animal story.
Yeah.
As a side note.
Right. My concern with the Lady and the Tramp is the uncanny valley. It might wreck it. It might supersede it, and it might be okay.
I'm curious. There's an uncanny valley with CG dogs talking?
Yeah, because I mean,
when have you seen a real dog talk? Is what I'm getting at.
No, what I'm getting at is like the whole like animal mouth movement. Like that's the uncanny valley that I'm talking about.
Okay, question.
Like, there's certain ways that dogs' mouths move,
right?
And the way that they're moving when they're CG gets messed up.
Okay, fair enough.
I
get what you're saying.
If we're gonna clarify it, that's what I'm getting at.
There's a
certain way a dog's mouth moves.
Yeah, there's an awkwardness to dogs talking. Yeah. I get it. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, dear viewers and listeners, Nick was unable to continue with us on this episode, but we have replaced him. Just kidding. Matthew was able to join in on the call and continue the episode with us. So, Matthew.
Hello, everybody.
Glad to have you on for this.
Feels good.
So, we will not do any recaps of anything. We'll just kind of move forward. We mentioned the Kristen Bell Encore live reality show. We briefly talked about the High School Musical, The Series. Say that 5 times fast. Nope, don't, please. I'm just kidding. And then we were about to talk about Lady and the Tramp, and I don't know how much I'll have kept in the full edit, but I will just briefly read off who's involved with it, and then maybe get Matt's feeling on it, and then we'll move forward. Matt, since you missed out on the first half of that, I didn't give any opinion on it yet, but Lynn is not a fan of all of Disney's live-action adaptations. I like half of them. Not all of them are great. That's where I stand on it. How about you? Just a short opinion on that.
So my opinion is there's some that I like and some that I don't. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Um, However, like it's if they're what I don't like about some of them, like if they were going to just make it like a straight copy, then they need to like keep it as a straight copy and not add or not or take out things from the original movie
So
that made it
right,
great.
you don't like mild deviations, and if they're gonna deviate, you want a full blown, completely new story. And
Well,
Lynn,
not like even like a complete story. Like if they're gonna deviate, like at least make it to where it like
makes sense.
goes. So you got the regular movie. At least have it go down and then meet back up or something to where it's like completely different, but you're like, okay, this is still going towards the same output or out.
Right, I get what you're saying. It's still okay. Like maintain you like it when they maintain the spirit of the story.
Yes.
And Lynn really doesn't like that, and he expressed earlier in the recording that he likes completely unique stories, like Maleficent, for instance, is a completely unique perspective of that fairy tale. Like
Yeah.
it's not the Sleeping Beauty story, it's what it's the stuff that might have led up to it, but it's an original story.
Well, it's partially like some of the original lore
Well,
going into Sleeping Beauty.
and we need to do some further research because in between these two recordings here, got into it with my wife, and not into it like as in an argument, but Amy thoroughly pointed out to me that the only original storyline that Sleeping Beauty is based off of is a very vague story about a princess that fell into deep sleep and needed to be awoken by a prince's kiss, and that is like a 5 or 6 paragraph short story written by the brothers Grimm. Nick was trying, and I'm not gonna go any further into it because I will wait to hear Nick's rebuttal. But he claimed, just like you, that there is actually a lot more lore about Maleficent. But as far as the original fairy tale that it's based off of, there isn't much about her in that short story.
Right.
But
It's
since that original short story, there have been multiple tales spun off from it, and Disney was one of the earliest ones to tell a full story and add color and flavor to it, which is where we get the movie Sleeping Beauty.
right. And it was their adaptation that they added to the original uh Brothers Grimm style.
Yeah. Anyway, like we'll have to maybe come back and do like a little episode about uh, Disney's original stories and where a lot of them came from, because there's some interesting stories to be told. I've mentioned that before in previous podcasts. Um, but let me just run through this, and we'll keep pounding out this list because there's a lot of announcements that came out at D23. If you guys are cool with that.
Mhm.
So Matt was a little blown away when he read through the notes and was like, Lady and the Tramp live action movie coming straight to Disney Plus. All it is you guys know the story. It's just a retelling of the 1955 animated classic about a prim and proper house dog and a tough but lovable stray. And despite their different upbringings, they grow closer and come to understanding the true meaning of what home means to them. Just giving you a list of who's involved. It's being directed by Charlie Bean from a screenplay by Andrew Bajalski. It stars Tessa Thompson as the voice of Lady, and we know her from Thor Ragnarok and other Marvel properties. Justin Theroux plays Tramp. Kiersey Clemens plays Darling. Thomas Mann as Jim Deere. Janelle Monáe plays the voice of Peg. And Yvette Nicole Brown as Aunt Sarah, and Sam Elliott as the voice of Trusty. I did see, you all watched the trailer, or did you skip that, Lynn? Did you skip it entirely? You didn't even
Uh,
know
I
that.
I watched bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
I didn't even know that there was a trailer
Oh,
for
that's
it.
right.
So
Didn't even know. Okay. Well, we're not going to dive into this title. I will just give you my brief impression of the trailer. I thought as it was playing out, it was being narrated by Lady, and she was talking about her life at home, and it's all live action. There's humans everywhere, and there's very real dogs running around, and before I saw them come into the character moments that we see from the original cartoon, I thought, oh, is this going to be one of those straight live actions and none of the animals are going to actually talk? Is it going to be a Homeward Bound thing?
Yeah.
And you know, where the animals don't, like, they kind of, well, back in the day they would put peanut butter in dogs' mouths to get them to yap their jaws open, and that was their way of
Right.
talking. And to my surprise, it's like real dogs' bodies, but full blown CG moving dog mouths and heads. And it doesn't look bad. I would say it's not great. They still haven't perfected talking animals, in my opinion, but it's on the same level as the talking animals from the Lion King or the Jungle Book live action redos. So it's not bad. And they caught a lot of the classic moments from the cartoon in the trailer. Like the last scene in the trailer is them with a plate of spaghetti in front of them and actually like nibbling at the spaghetti. And I was like, oh dear. So we're all gonna get Disney Plus, so it's gonna be one of those things that, oh, if it's on Netflix, I'll check it out because I'm already paying for it for everything else that we're gonna get. So my kids will probably want to check it out. I might catch moments of it. I might watch it. That's where I stand on it. You know, I might check it out, but
I might have to check it out too because of my daughters. But actually, in Christian too, I think actually likes that movie a lot.
yeah, and it seems like the last couple movies they've done, they've very heavily, which Lynn doesn't like, is basically a complete straight copy of everything from the original. I don't know, there might be an original song or two in there, but it seems pretty copy.
If they don't have the Siamese cats
No,
in that
it's
freaking movie,
Oh, I'm sorry. Might have to save this for our offline conversation because we kind of went. I don't know how much I'll save in the previous recording, but we kind of went at it about that because it's controversial in 2019. It depicts Asians in a very aggressive, stereotypical way, and we got in a discussion about how, but that it was for its time period, it was normal, yada yada. But yes, they're removing it from the new version. They will not have that song in it.
then
I
I
said
do
the
not
same
want to.
thing.
I do not want to see this movie now.
Yep.
I said the same thing. It better have the
The only
silence.
reason I will actually like maybe take a look at it is Sam Elliott because I love that guy.
Fair enough. We can move on. We already know how controversial Disney adjusting for modern days that they're doing with these things, and you either accept it or you just don't touch it, and that's fine. Guys, the next film announced, original film coming, will be just in time for the holidays. It's called Noel. It's
Anna Kendrick.
it's Nick Kringle, who is being played by Bill Hader. I love Bill Hader. It says, Nick Kringle may be the first in line to become Santa Claus, but he struggles every step of the way. His little sister Noelle, played by Anna Kendrick, enjoys all the perks of being a Kringle without any of the expectations or responsibilities. As Christmas draws near, Nick caves to the pressure and disappears just weeks before the big day. Now it's up to Noelle to scour the globe to find him, bring him home, and save the holiday. It will be starring Kingsley Benadir, Billy Eichner, Julie Haggerty, and Shirley MacLaine to finish out the cast, with Bill Hader and Anna Kendrick leading the charge. I encourage you guys to check out the trailer. I watched the trailers for all of these things before we recorded. It looks funny. It looks hilarious. It's going to be a holiday comedy.
I saw that one.
Yeah. Matthew, what's up?
Who's Bill Hader? Why does that name sound familiar?
Oh, oh dear.
Bill Hader.
Come on, man. What's his biggest things he's been in, Lynn? Can you think of it off the top of your head?
Um,
Because
let's see.
he does really good impressions. He's been on like a couple late night
Hold on.
shows recently.
Hold on. He's so you remember that Jason Segel movie where he's or it wasn't Jason Segel, it was what you call it? Damn it, now I'm trying to blank. Paul Rudd. There it is. Paul Rudd, and he's married to his sister, and he does this weird background type thing
Um,
with the
uh,
cop.
you're probably
It's
not
called.
familiar with this, Matthew, since you refuse to watch the It movies, but he has been cast to play the adult Richie in
Okay.
It.
I Saturday Night Live
Eh,
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's done a
That's
lot.
why. Okay.
Yeah, he's done a lot of voice work as well. But yeah, he's in over 160 episodes from Saturday Night Live. He did the voice
Super,
of Alpha 5 in the recent Power Rangers remake.
super
Yes.
bad. Super bad as well as one of the cops.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
co-stars next to Seth Rogen as one of the cops. But yeah, no, he's a funny guy. He does a lot of stuff with Seth Rogen.
And I love Anna
Sauce.
Kendrick, so I'll probably catch this.
Yeah, it looks like a fun time. Um, what did you think of the trailer, Lynn? Since you caught it, you said.
It definitely looks like I'd say like along the lines of more female Santa Claus movie, like Tim Allen type.
Yeah, like kind of that comedy, a little bit of that comedy beat with it as
I
well.
I'd say more like what is it? The second or third Santa Claus movie that's more close to, but not.
So you have seen all three of the Santa Claus movies.
Yeah, I have.
Some people can't lay claim to that. I've enjoyed all. I enjoyed all of them. But
Tim Allen is
I,
amazing.
exactly.
Tim Allen
So
is amazing.
He
the
is Santa Claus.
the next item up for bid in this listing here coming out that I'm really excited about because I'm a huge fan of the dude. He is one of the quirkiest celebrities out there right now, getting into his older age. The World According to Jeff Bloom.
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Did I say Bloom? Jeff Goldblum. So, through the prism of Jeff Goldblum's inquisitive and highly entertaining mind, nothing is as it seems in this new series. Each episode is centered around something everyone loves, like sneakers or ice cream, as the actor pulls the thread on these deceptively familiar objects and unravels a wonderful world of astonishing connections, fascinating science and history, amazing people, and countless surprising big ideas and insights. Uh, this is literally, we're going to be traveling the globe with Jeff Goldblum in sort of like a reality, unscripted series. He's going to visit different cultures and places, trying out different foods, and just being himself. And I can't think of a better reason to watch a show with him in it. What do you guys think? Did either of you guys see a trailer for that one?
If the theme song for the show isn't the "It's my birthday," I will be disappointed.
Oh,
That would
well,
be pretty
maybe.
funny. I haven't seen the trailer, but Jeff Goldblum is gold, no matter what.
It's in his name, man.
Exactly.
Moving on the list. I mean, he's kind of the only one leading this, so there aren't any other co-stars. He's just gonna be talking to real people.
Oh, the puppy.
So,
Oh, sorry.
next up is an interesting series from Pixar. It's called Forky Asks a Question. Tony Hale, who voiced craft project turned toy Forky in Toy Story 4, returns in this. God, I did not write this in, guys. I literally pulled this from the article. Returns in this spectacular new short series from Pixar Animation Studios. He debuted the first. He debuts the first of 10 episodes coming to Disney Plus. Money and we're looking forward to discovering alongside Forky the answers to such complicated questions about how the world works, such as what is love? What is time? And most crucially, what is cheese? So I love Pixar shorts, and I imagine these are going to be on the shorter side, but we're getting a mini series of episodes about Forky asking
It'll
these hard questions.
I feel like it'll probably end up like the Mater the Greater episodes.
Right? Dude, Lynn, have you been able to see Toy Story 4 yet?
Yes, I have seen it.
Okay. Okay, so you know thoroughly about Forky, and Tony Hale does an incredible job acting psychotic and lost in the world.
Jude
Trash?
Dude does this thing where he walks around the house and he'll randomly stop and pick up some trash, and he'll go, "I'm Fucky, I'm trash," and then he'll take the trash over to the trash can and throw it away.
Trash. Trash.
That's cute. It was spoiler warning. It was cute when he met a new friend, and she was all confused about life too, and he got excited because he's like, "I'm gonna teach you things," but
Why am I alive? I don't know.
so I'm going to get through all the family friendly Disney stuff first, and then I'll backtrack so we can just hit the Star Wars and Marvel stuff in bulk. But the next thing, which there's not too much information on, but we know what the premise is, and they tried to make it a big deal. I don't know how many fans there are presently speaking of the old Lizzie McGuire from the 90s.
Oh,
Oh, but bless her soul, Hilary Duff is out of work in Hollywood, and what better way than to reprise her original role as now a 30-something-year-old in New York City trying to tackle adult life. That is such a cute little figure, Lynn.
It's a little stormtrooper.
Nice. Guys, watch our
I'd
YouTube
like to
channel if you
see-
want to see these little things that pop up on screen.
I'd like to see where this Lizzie McGuire thing goes. Do you think the little brother will reprise his role as well?
I hope so.
I don't know. All I
And I hope that her friend Matt reprises his role.
You mean Gordo?
Shh. His name's Matt.
All I'll say, though, is that Terry Minsky, the original series creator, is coming
Where's
back
that
to
little
work
bro-
on it. So, at the very least, we will see a little bit of continuity and integrity from the classic. Anyone that grew up watching it and enjoyed it will maybe have an additional interest in checking this out. I don't know.
Well, it's probably goes along lines of like with the what's the other one, like That's So Raven or Boy Meets World, where they made Girl Meets World, and
Right,
then
reviving
there's another.
old sitcoms, yeah.
Raven City.
Yeah.
Next up on the list with not a lot. I did not have any other details on this. It was just a brief announcement. But we're getting a series called Muppets Now. Kermit, Miss Piggy, and gang returned for an unscripted short form series. I'm here for it. I love the Muppets.
I love
For
the Muppets.
sure.
I love Dark Crystal. I love anything Jim Henson does with Disney.
Or did.
Well, yes.
I mean, his brother
company.
or son is still running it. Or, so there's still the
Yeah.
spirit of Henson and all these things.
And
So,
Frank Oz.
yep. So love that. That's exciting. Couple other things that I didn't know about till I got through the list here, but there's some upcoming projects that they're a little further out. They don't have a specific release date, but the following year, 2020, we can see some of these things coming out. We've got a series called Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made. In a first look, fans met the quirky Timmy Failure, who operates his own detective agency in Portland with the help of his 1,500-pound polar bear, not to mention a deadpan sense of humor. This launches early 2020. Timmy Failure is directed by award-winning filmmaker Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy is known as is an American film writer, screenwriter, and actor who is best known for 2003's The Station Agent, 2007's The Visitor, 2011's Win-Win, and 2015's Spotlight, for which he won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay and was nominated for Best Director. McCarthy co-wrote the film Up from 2009 with Bob Peterson and Pete Docter, for which they received an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay. He also served as a director and executive producer for the Netflix television series 13 Reasons Why. Season 3 recently came out. So, yeah, so he's got quite a resume of material. So, I mean, it could be serious, could be quirky. I think this one's animated. I'm not entirely... I think I saw screenshots for it, especially with that polar bear being his best friend or whatever. So, I don't know.
I was going to say, sounds like they're going to try to do like a Norm of the North kind of a thing.
Yeah, something to that series. This series is based on the best-selling book series by Pastis, I guess. So it's a book series to begin with. Everything seems to be, everything that Hollywood makes comes from a book. Let's see. I'll skip that. This is interesting. This one seems definitely suited for a younger audience, especially in 2019. We've got a series called Diary of a Female President. It comes out in January. Gina Rodriguez executive produces on a half-hour single camera that follows a 12-year-old Cuban-American girl's journey through the trials of middle school, which sets her on a path to ultimately becoming president of the United States. Tess Romero stars as Elena. Rodriguez told Expo guests, "I'm excited to bring hope, positivity, and joy in a family comedy to your houses, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it." So, you know what? Disney's trying to literally put out a very wide array of things that are original. And this could be good for a younger audience to kind of, I guess, be given that drive to be successful. And also it looks like it's going to be a little bit of, looks like it's going to mostly be a drama. I don't know. Have you guys heard of Stargirl?
No.
I've
heard of Starboy.
I will read through this quickly. Stargirl comes out early 2020. Series stars Grace VanderWaal. And if you guys aren't familiar with her, she got really big as being a really young singer on, I think, America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent. She was on there a while back. She's got a full album on iTunes and all stuff like that. Starring with Graham Vercher, introduced the coming-of-age film based on the critically acclaimed New York Times best-selling young adult novel of the same name by Jerry Spinelli. Julia Hart directs from a screenplay by Kristen Hahn and Julia Hart and Jordan Horowitz. Ellen Goldsmith, Vane, Lee Stolman, and Kristen Hahn are producers. Karen Brer, Maximiliano Hernandez, Darby Staunchfield, and Giancarlo Esposito also star. I probably said a couple of those names incorrectly. I apologize, listeners. It's a coming-of-age movie, I guess. So that's cool, you know? Oh, something more that I'm definitely more up our alley and our kids' alley is a Monsters, Inc. based series called Monsters at Work. The new series from Disney Television Animation takes fans back to Monstropolis, where we'll meet a new cast of monsters, including Tyler, played by Ben Feldman, and Millie, played by Aisha Tyler. In the series inspired by Disney and Pixar's Oscar-winning feature film Monsters, Inc., Monsters at Work will feature special appearances from the film's beloved buddies, Mike and Sully, who will again be voiced by Billy Crystal and John Goodman. Today, Feldman and Tyler shared a special look at their characters with fans and revealed that the series takes place immediately after Monstropolis makes the switch to Laugh Power, as Tyler, a Monsters U alum, who graduated scarum cum laude, has to find his way through this new world of laughter. So, I liked the Monsters Inc. movies. I know all our kids enjoyed them when they came out. This is cool. They're gonna do a full series and kind of a continuation from where the monsters go once laughter became the new form of power. What do you guys think? Kids gonna be interested? Are you interested?
I I would love to see this, and I know my kids would love it.
I love that John Goodman and Billy Crystal will be returning as Mike and Sully throughout the series, which is cool.
Mike
Matthew,
Wazowski.
And freaking John Ratzenberger is also reprising his role as the Yeti.
nice.
I thought he was done. I thought. Sorry.
Nah.
Wasn't like Cars 2 like supposed to be his last movie? I could have swore that was.
Why last movie? Like he's done doing the voice acting thing, or what? Like what did you hear?
Yeah.
I know not what you speak of, Matthew.
He keeps trying to get out,
because-
but they keep sucking him back in.
I was gonna say because I mean he's Ham, he's a bunch of different voices throughout every single Disney Pixar movie.
He's in Bug's Life. He's in freaking everything. He has one voice acting role in every Disney movie.
Hey man, he's getting work, and he's got capability of doing so. Why not? At this point, guys, we're going to. I'll put timestamps in this show so that people can click through where they like. But I think now's a good time to cover the Marvel stuff that we've learned, the new stuff they announced. And then we'll end the episode with the Star Wars stuff. All right, guys. Well, that covers the rest of the family Disney stuff. We've had some technical difficulties, so if I sound a little odd, it's because I'm frustrated with my computer. But moving forward, we're going to.
Oh wait.
Yeah. But we're gonna jump right into Marvel announcements. First off, we learned a few more details about WandaVision and who else is going to be in it. Just a quick read through. As Vision and Wanda Maximoff, Paul Bettany, and Elizabeth Olsen play two superpowered beings trying to live ideal suburban lives until they begin to suspect that things are not as they seem. In this series that Feige describes as half classic sitcom and half epic MCU adventure. I know, Lynn, it's so epic. Bettany and Olsen made a surprise appearance at D23 Expo, joined by Kat Dennings and Randall Park, who will reprise their roles from Thor and Ant-Man and the Wasp. They'll also be joined, I know, by Kathryn Hahn, who will play a new character in the series. Quote, as the scripts keep rolling in, it's so funny, and it just ends up being this huge epic. The writing is so extraordinary, Bettany says. Matt Shackman serves as director, and Jack Schaefer on board as head writer. Guys, what's your intrigue or excitement level for this show coming?
Go for it, Lynn.
It's about let's say definitely something I will like to catch. Like I'll invest time into it. I don't invest much time into shows very much anymore, but I will invest it in this one.
Matthew?
I will do the same just for the simple fact of I would like to see where they're getting how they're coming at it with the lore and everything else. Why do I keep saying lore?
It's a fun word to use. It describes a depth to storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways.
I think it's also safe to say that maybe in an extension of what you mean by that is we're gonna maybe get to see a little more of Wanda Maximoff's growth as the Scarlet Witch, which to this point she's never been addressed as the Scarlet Witch, and a lot of that has to do with licensing, but previously between Fox and Disney, because with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, they both Fox and Disney had divided rights to use the characters, but they were never allowed to do solo storytelling about those characters. That's why we have two versions of Quicksilver. One from the X-Men and one from the Avengers, which was killed off quite quickly in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh.
I know, sad day. But we're gonna start seeing her powers grow in this series. We think that she's probably coping with the loss of vision, and because we know she has the ability to create realities, at least in the comic books, so they haven't explored that in the movies yet. Huh?
Go infinite.
Yeah, she hasn't gone Super Saiyan yet, so uh, this series might lead to that. It all depends on how they want to, because they threw in Feige threw in epic MCU adventure mixed with half classic sitcom. I think the classic sitcom is in her head, and then we're gonna start seeing that she's discovering things don't seem quite right in this life that she's trying to live, and
So we will get the film in front of a live audience inside of her head with the laugh track.
maybe, I don't know, dude. Half classic sitcom. I imagine that would be, I would love that if they throw in some laugh tracks. That would be incredible. And this is kind of exciting because this show is going to come out before the Doctor Strange sequel of that year, which is titled Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where she is actually co-starring with Doctor Strange in that movie. And at which point, maybe after the WandaVision series ends, it comes to a point where she pulls out of her mind or head and meets up with Doctor Strange somehow or some point. We're gonna see some multiverse mayhem with Doctor Strange and WandaVision. Wanda being there, we might see her powers explode. You know.
Don't forget about the Lovecraftian creatures as well that they promised.
Yes, they're promising a lot of crazy.
Stoked for that.
Ooh, crazy stuff. If you guys are good, I'm gonna move on to the next series.
For sure.
Debuting in 2021, Matthew.
I just wonder, with Scarlet Witch, is if they're going to bring in Silver Surfer at all too within that universe.
You mean Quicksilver or Silver Surfer?
Silver Surfer.
Like with Galactus?
Not with
Silver
Galactus,
Surfer?
but yes.
I mean that connection. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
And the Fantastic Four.
There's going to be a lot. There's a lot that they're going to be building to through Phase 4. There's going to be a lot of setup, I imagine. Because we mentioned in a previous episode when we first heard these announcements that Kevin Feige did confirm after Phase 4 wraps up that then there will be a Fantastic Four film, and that there's currently a script in the works right now. So
wait, so end credit scene will have Fantastic Four? All right.
Maybe. We can only hope. The next series, guys, Loki, debuting in 2021. We've already known a bit about this, but there's a little more expulsion upon the series. So here goes. Tom Hiddleston will return to play the fan favorite villain Loki in a series set after the events of Avengers Endgame. Kate Herron directs this eagerly anticipated series centered on the God of Mischief, with Michael Waldron as head writer. In a video greeting to D23 Expo guests, Hiddleston promised, quote, It's your boundless enthusiasm and your support that mean that Loki still has more story to tell, and it will never stop surprising and delighting me that you think he's cool. This journey isn't over yet. In fact, it's only just begun. And that's what he said on stage to the crowds at D23. And Kevin Feige confirmed that this Loki is the Loki that disappeared with the Power Stone in Endgame when Tony flubbed, dropped the stone, and then he grabbed it and disappeared. And then they had to go further back in time and find another stone from another time period. So now we got this alternate timeline with this other Loki.
I called that, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of us knew this is what this show could potentially be about, and that's just it. He's going to be bouncing through different times, making his way, being the god of mischief. And the crazy thing, and we haven't really talked about it on our podcast before, but this is going to be the Loki before him and Thor came on kind of even heeled terms. Like, this is going to be the Loki that still envies and hates Thor and wants that power and place,
Yes.
in the world. So
However, he's always had like a brotherly bond with Thor, even though they're
But it's
both
just-
completely like
yeah, it's just not going to be as deep as what we saw in Ragnarok, where they almost had a couple touching moments. It's not going to be quite there yet. It might lead back to that, but that's what
I was
I'm
gonna
saying.
say. It could all lead back to like.
But I'm just saying they've rewound his growth and brought him back to an earlier starting point, and they can kind of take him in different directions from there, and so who knows?
Somebody needs to go to the IMDb page and change the synopsis from what it is currently to Loki doing Loki stuff. That's what it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Or change the synopsis to, you remember that episode of Rick and Morty where they created all of the Cronenbergs and then they went to another reality where they magically died? Well, this Loki just did that.
Yeah.
Except for he's not burying his other body out back. His other body's dead in space.
Aww.
Spoiler.
#truth. So those are the kind of the newer things, little additional casting info on both those shows, and some confirmations. Matthew, anything else?
But he does have the stone with him, so he could, per se, grab it and bury it.
He could.
He could. There's who knows what kind of mischief he'll get into.
Or this will just be Marvel's version of Rick and Morty, where it's just
Moving on.
has the stone. It's not a portal gun, but it does basically the same thing.
Right.
I got you.
We have 3 additional series coming to Disney Plus that Kevin Feige announced. One of the series we have a bit of information on, as it's probably coming in sooner than the other 2. But I will just read these off, and we can have a brief discussion on our excitement level or interest. First up, there's no details on who's being cast yet for it, but we've got the series Moon Knight, which is coming, and just a brief description of who that guy is. Moon Knight revolves around Mark Spector, a mercenary who is left for dead in the Egyptian desert. And I know that I will bring Nick back on for a separate brief segment where he can kind of unload a little more details on the history of the character. I didn't have time to add in more details than that, but
So, hashtag Jeff Berry. This is one of his big favorite superheroes.
Yes.
right.
Characters.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he's mentioned that before. Shout out to you, Mr. Barry, if you still listen to us.
I say, like, when that show comes around, we should probably have him on to kind of like be like, hey, what's your take on this?
For sure. The invitation will be extended. You heard it here first. The next up on the list, Miss Marvel. Not super well known to too many people outside of the casual audience, but it is a more recent comic book favorite And she has been around for a while. But I'll read off what we do know about her and the series. It says the Miss Marvel series will be led by screenwriter and comedian Bishop Ali. Ali. Most recently, a staff writer on Hulu's Four Weddings and a Funeral, she will serve as showrunner and write the series. The iteration of Miss Marvel in this show is Pakistani American Kamala Khan, a Muslim teenager who lives in Jersey City, New Jersey, and looks up to superheroes like Captain Marvel. According to Marvel, she has an inhuman ability to alter shape and size and employs an idealistic attitude as much as any power to make the world a better place. What I do know about her is it's when they say Inhuman, it's like that the Inhumans that failed ABC, NBC show, whatever it was.
ABC.
Yeah, they were affected by basically the Inhumans are kind of like a alternative take on mutants back when Marvel sold off a lot of the X-Men properties to Fox. Inhumans were basically mutants, and in this case, they were kind of latent mutants that people that had the ability to potentially be mutants, but they were like the genetics were buried, if you will. It was called the Terrigen Mist that brought out their abilities, and so she is one of those Inhumans that is still on Earth and was affected by that mist and started getting these powers. She always looked up to Captain Marvel, and at some point she took on the moniker Miss Marvel. So there's a good chance in this series we will see Captain Marvel make some appearances, possibly. Definite cameo potential there.
But from what you were saying, oh, go for it.
I was going to say, on a side note, that is still the only MCU movie that I have not watched.
For shame. As I stand on my pedestal of lies, I have not seen it either. I just haven't had time to catch up on some things. I've seen almost every Marvel movie. That's one of the last ones I have not seen.
Yes.
But you were saying with her powers are something along the lines of like Mr. Fantastic or Plastic Man, right?
Yeah, like aside from like being able to stretch in different directions, legs and arms, she can also shrink or enlarge parts of her body, like make a massive fist or shrink down a little, almost like Ant-Man, but not nearly that small.
So it's like Mr. Fantastic, but with more attributes of Plastic Man.
Yeah, kind of like that. That's basically the gist of her abilities. Cha. I'm excited for all of these because they're going to be weaving these shows in and out of the Marvel movies, but these are going to take place a little bit towards the end of Phase 4. There's no clarification on if they're going to be part of Phase 4 or if they're coming in the next phase.
Will she end up with She-Hulk when they do the female Avengers?
Quite possibly.
Isn't that what we're seeing?
Quite possibly. They might be using
Like
these shows to build towards that.
Her and Jane Frost. If I remember correctly, they were supposed to be in the female Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rumors right now, but no project has been confirmed yet. But these shows definitely lead to the belief, more solidifying that possibility. The third and final Marvel show that was announced among these new ones that are coming later is She-Hulk, as Lynn mentioned. The final Marvel series currently in the works for Disney Plus is She-Hulk, which will revolve around Jennifer Walters. Walters was a highly skilled lawyer who, after an injury, received a blood transfusion from her cousin, Bruce Banner, and in the process acquired a mild version of his Hulk condition. This gave her the ability to become just like the Hulk, except her intelligence remained intact. Given that Marvel has just done that with the actual Hulk in Avengers Endgame, we got the smart Hulk, the best of both worlds. it'll be interesting to see how they approach She-Hulk on Disney Plus. But with Hulk's complicated rights issues, then introducing She-Hulk makes it easier for them to tell Hulk solo stories, except using Walters instead of Banner. As with Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, there's no word yet on when She-Hulk will be released on Disney Plus. And for those confused, we've mentioned it in the past, but Universal Studios has the distribution rights to Hulk movies, and which means Marvel can't just willy-nilly make a solo Hulk movie and put it out themselves. They would have to cut a deal with Universal Studios like they did with Sony and Spider-Man if they wanted to, which for right now, the current movie rights allows them to put him in team-up movies like freely. Like they can just kind of throw him in there with other people, but that's why we haven't gotten a MCU solo Hulk film yet.
Here's a weird question. Do they... Oh, go for it, Matt. Go.
Oh, no.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I was gonna say, do you think they own the rights to all of the installments of every version of Hulk? Like Red Hulk, Gray Hulk?
I think
Oh.
it's a little different. I don't think they have as much as Sony does of like the Spider-Verse. Because like when it comes to Spider-Man, literally everything connected to Spider-Man was sold to Sony or Sony bought up. Like the villains, the Rogues Gallery, and other connected versions of Spider-Man. Just as far as movie rights go, because Marvel still has the right to do animated shows of Spider-Man, Sony only owns the movie rights. That's it. But like Marvel, that's why on Disney XD we get like the Super Friends and you see appearances of Spider-Man, because Marvel can freely do that. They just can't do live action movies without teaming up with Sony. And I think on a lesser level, it's the same thing with the Hulk. I think they're allowed to do like that's why they were talking about She-Hulk. Maybe could tell some Bruce Banner stories, but like switching it up to being in her place. But this also offered, but because it's also a show with multiple characters, like Mark Ruffalo can make appearances in this show with her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
But
they can expand on his backstory by adding him to the show.
Yeah, it's like that. How Disney's got that little kid show with the Fisher Price toys or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what I was
With the
referring to when I
Hulk
said Super Friends. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, the Hulk and the Spider-Man toys show up or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That rounds out the shows, guys. Overall feelings on these three new entries coming into the phase. Matthew?
One thing before I go into that, to be honest, I really don't think that the MCU would need a Hulk movie per se. I don't, in my opinion, because
You're not a Hulk fan. I'm kidding. I'm
No,
just saying
I'm
there's
a-
like hundreds of solo comic book stories of the Hulk, so other fans might disagree with you, but I agree with you what you're saying here, Matthew, because I think he works really well in teams and they've done a good job with him up to this point.
like as soon as like the whole Avengers things go away, maybe it'll be good to like actually go down that road, I would say. But like right now, with how it's still going, I think it would kill the mood, so to speak.
Or
I don't know.
it'd be the turd in the punch bowl.
Yes.
like I understand what you're trying to convey.
Honestly, though, I would love to see a bunch of solo, like standalone Hulk movies. I'm not even gonna lie, because I would like to see a Hulk villain other than Abomination or like Red Hulk. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Grey Hulk.
Yeah. Well, I'd like there's a lot more to it if you actually go.
I know.
Yeah. I'd like to actually see
Hulk versus Wolverine. Oh.
right.
Well, some of those possibilities will be happening, guys,
Or
with the
Hulk
future.
versus Zangief. That would be great. And then that's when Marvel vs. Capcom introduced Mecha Zangief.
Yes,
Oh dear Lord.
that was. Anyways, with these shows, I think it's good that they're bringing out the shows and kind of incorporating in both into the theatrical world and the Disney Plus series. That way,
Yeah.
you're not like losing time, so to speak. The only thing I wonder is if they're going to make it to where it's going to be like Netflix, where they drop the show full 10 episodes, 12 episodes, whatever.
I know for a fact, I don't know about the Marvel stuff, but I do know for a fact they confirmed that the Mandalorian Star Wars series will be coming out weekly and not all at once.
And I am
See,
grateful.
that's good though.
So there's
I
a
am
good,
grateful.
yeah. I think to keep subscribers around, it would benefit Disney to do that more. That they did confirm that there will be a mix of things. They said some series will drop all at once, while others will be weekly. Mandalorian being one of them, going weekly. So they might do that, but all at the same time, they also are trying to put these out in between movies. So maybe the Marvel series do get dumped all at once because they're trying to put them in between films so people have time to watch them all. I don't know.
No.
I'm just throwing
They
that
need-
out there, Lynn, as a
need to put-
possibility.
No, they need to put the budget into it.
Oh, the budget will
And
be there, dude.
production. No, I know, and actually put the production value into it, and do it big, like fucking Game of Thrones style, and not do it. Oh, hey, we're gonna dump just an entire series on you guys. Make the people come back for more. If they want to make money, they want to week by week. Let's go.
Well, I definitely see them doing it, dude. To a lot of them anyway.
I mean, I'm a sucker, and I will dump the money. I won't. Robin will. Heyo.
Hey, real quick, guys. It was already out. I should have gotten them.
Now, do you get them plain and then add mac sauce? Or
Me,
just add mac sauce?
I get them straight and then add mac sauce, which makes them extra full of goodness. What do you do, Lynn?
You're muted, Lynn.
Yeah, I can't hear you for some reason, even though your thing is down.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, it was a manual mute. That's interesting.
So
I did not do it this time.
Robin does the add mac sauce, so it's extra saucy. I do the no sauce, add mac sauce.
There you go.
So how you would order it? Do you ask for it plain and then add mac sauce?
No,
What do you have them remove? Do you just have them substitute the ketchup?
Ketchup and mustard. No ketchup and mustard. Add
Yeah.
mac sauce.
so that way you still get the onion and the pickles.
Right. Amy likes mac sauce, but she hates pickles and mustard, and so she will ask for no pickles, no mustard, add mac sauce. That's how she orders them. Yeah. Anyway, well, we're about 4 minutes into this recording, and you could keep chowing down, Lynn. I figured we'd just jump into it. I'll cover the smaller series that are coming and what details we know, and then we'll bust out the Mandalorian here at the end. All right, guys, it is time for the Star Wars announcements of D23. Among the many things coming to Disney Plus, we have a Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated series coming in Yep. Very nice, sir. Coming in February of 2020. What we know about it is that the Emmy award-winning animated series will return with 12 all-new episodes and will mark the return of classic characters Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and fan favorites Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex. Lynn, or Matthew. I've never watched the Star Wars animated shows, and I've been told so many good things about them. It's one of those many lists of things I need to watch. Have either of you caught the Clone Wars? I know there's the Republic series. Maybe I'm wrong. Or I know the Clone Wars is an older series. So I'm gonna ask Lynn. I know you've seen this.
If we're talking the one from Cartoon Network, it is amazing, and you need to go and watch it because they go more in depth to certain character lore, as Matt puts it, for certain characters. One being especially General Grievous. The Cartoon Network series does cover General Grievous's story a whole lot more in depth than the movies did him justice. And then also there's the Sith Senator, not Senator, but the Sith Lord, I guess, what's his name? Saruman from the Lord of the Rings. He's the Sith Lord in the Cartoon Network series covers his backstory and covers him a whole lot more than like
The
with
movie.
General Grievous. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So it also touches bases on the whole Jango Fett clone thing. It explains that a bit more to you as well. And also it's very
the late Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and yeah, he played Count Dooku.
There you go, Count Dooku.
Count Dooku, Christopher Lee.
I remember from Lord of the Rings, but I can't remember.
Well, hey, dude, you know that man.
Lord Dooku.
That man lived to the age of 93 and has like over 150 film credits. He's had a very thick, luscious film career.
I always remember him in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Johnny
Me
Depp.
personally, I remember him as Vladimir the Impaler. I mean Dracula. That's going that's going way back. No?
I'm confused.
What do you mean?
I guess I haven't watched.
Oh, sorry, 282 film credits according to IMDb. Holy crap. Yeah, dude.
Well, he started very young and stopped when he was basically dead.
The man worked till he died, literally.
He started at the beginning and finished at the end. That's crazy how that works.
Rest in peace, Christopher Lee. Rest in peace. Moving on. So yeah, you Clone Wars fans, that's fun. That's something to look forward to. Now, we've got 2 live action series in addition to The Mandalorian, which we will cover here at the end. We've got a second Lucasfilm live action series that actually has a bunch of casting and writers already. It's one I wasn't aware of until obviously the announcement at D23. We have Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk. I freaking love Alan Tudyk. They will reprise their roles of Cassian Andor and K2SO, respectively, from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. In this, the second live-action series from Lucasfilm for Disney+, the series currently in development follows Andor's adventures as a rebel spy during the formative years of the rebellion. Before the events of A New Hope, obviously, because spoiler warning, guys, everyone dies at the end of Rogue One. It says, quote, "We're going to look younger," laughed Luna, noting that the show is a prequel to Rogue One. "We're going to look gorgeous," Tudyk added good-naturedly. I love Tudyk's sense of humor. I'm really excited because this is going to kind of be like a spy thriller is what this show is going to be about. So thoughts, guys? what did you think of those characters from Rogue One, and how do you feel about them being in a prequel to the prequel?
I liked Rogue One. I liked their characters. And it was kind of sad that, everybody died in that movie, but, what happens.
They died
But,
for a cause, Matthew. They died for a
yes,
cause.
I get this. But, this like Tudyk, I love Tudyk. He just, yeah.
He was the best sarcastic robot I've ever heard.
Yes. Well, no, like just him as like as an actor, like
Yes.
every role that he plays, he puts so much into it, but it's all his humor in the background, like his dry, sarcastic, just I don't know. Anyways,
Absolutely, dude. Lynn, thoughts on this spy thriller?
So it's a show, right?
Yes.
yes,
All I'm saying is I hope it doesn't get canceled after one season, like all of his other shows.
that is true.
Because the rest
Ah.
of the cast of the show that did get canceled after one season went to Destiny.
Yeah.
What show was that? Was it super?
What?
Never mind.
What?
What do you
Go ahead.
what?
Firefly?
Oh, he was in that.
I
His wife,
completely forgot about.
Nathan
his
Fillion, Alan
his
Tudyk.
wife is Ikora Ray. What's her face is frickin' Osiris's ghost, Zoe,
Right.
and Nathan Fillion, and then what's his face is frickin' Zavala, the doctor.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did
yep,
not
yep.
even think of that.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
seeing the face now because when I looked at the cast for Destiny, I'm like, I've seen him in things before, and yeah, he was the doctor that does Shaq's voice. You don't picture his voice coming from his face unless you've seen him in other things. Sudden nerd realization.
I'm just gonna leave right now. That's just.
And you call yourself a nerd. I'm kidding, Matthew. We all forget little details every once in a while.
Where's the cord? I mean, what?
Well, hey, moving on from that dark note, there's one other additional show that had a nice little walk-on cameo on stage when Kathleen Kennedy announced details about this untitled Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It is another series. When she asked Ewan McGregor to come up on stage, and he then very cheesily confirmed that he is coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the only detail truly that we know about this is that they said it's going to take place 8 years after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So after he failed at trying to save Anakin, and Anakin turned Darth Vader, he went into hiding. What's up with Obi-Wan Kenobi now? And we're going to follow his adventures in that in-between before he introduces himself to Luke Skywalker and tells him of his father's fate in Episode 4. So this is like literally straight dab 2/3 before that 30-year gap between Episode 3 and 4.
I'm excited.
I love Ewan McGregor. He's gonna be playing an almost aged version, but not quite that New Hope age.
Right.
And yeah, I'm excited for it. What do you think, Lynn? People threw out the idea, do we really need an Obi-Wan Kenobi solo film? Back when they were thinking about doing spin-off movies, I think this is a much better option to just do a series with his character than try to make a whole movie around him.
For character development, I like the idea. I am interested to see where it goes. I will check it out. because it's one of those things that I do like. So I mean, and it's honestly it's not like they're throwing somebody new into the role. If it was somebody new into the role, I'd say probably hard pass because it'd be a little bit hard to digest.
I would
Doing
agree with that.
taking on a third version of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but I mean, if they do flashbacks and Qui-Gon Jinn just happens to be, I don't know, the guy who actually played Qui-Gon Jinn in the movie, that would be great.
Well, now, hey,
Hint, hint.
it's
You
just
guys-
it's just a rumor, but something other than flashbacks that they could do. I mean, Liam Neeson might want to come back as a Force ghost. You never know. I'm just
That-
I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if that goes against canon Star Wars lore. Qui-Gon, I think, was the first one to be a Force ghost, wasn't he? Well, what didn't he show himself in Episode 1 kind of looking at? I don't remember that if he did a Force ghost moment at all. Do either of you guys remember? It's been so many years since I watched the prequels.
I don't remember Qui-Gon Force Ghost.
Wait. No. I don't want to misspeak. We're all huge Star Wars fans, but the fact that we don't know this little detail, I feel
remember- I remember the Obi-Wan and the Yoda Force Ghost.
yes.
It wasn't necessarily a Force ghost. It was voice.
Well, are you thinking, Lynn? Are you thinking when in the many edited changes that Lucas helped to do, where the young Anakin Skywalker ghost replaced the old dead Darth Vader ghost next to Yoda and Obi-Wan, when they were looking at Luke at the end of Episode 6 during the celebration?
Pretty bad.
They put Hayden Christensen in there. It's like, oh, I get the idea, but it was unnecessary, totally unnecessary. Because in my mind, I think he wanted to show the version of Darth Vader before he turned dark, which would have placed him as an image of Hayden Christensen, young Anakin, before turning dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a side note, I think that was like the idea Lucas was going for.
Yeah, that's probably why they did it.
Yeah.
But I feel like more Star Wars movies need to have the not the Force Ghost, but the Force hologram, like Luke Skywalker, because that was freaking great.
I still think to this day that that's the reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi disappeared when Darth Vader sliced him.
Right? You never know. Maybe this is the show that reveals it.
Because it always shows that like when they used the lightsaber, it chopped things off, but yet he just disappeared.
Now, question, before I pose this question that could generate conversation beyond the scope of our plans tonight, I won't even say anything but I'm pretty sure, Lynn, you confirmed not too long ago that you did finally see The Last Jedi, Episode 8. Was that correct?
I'm caught up. Like I'm
okay. Okay, I didn't want to say something and then you'd be like, "God dang it, guys, now I have to wait longer to watch it because we spoil it again."
Wait, no, I learned from the last time.
Fellow listeners and viewers, if you've been with us this whole time, you'll know that we've done it a couple times to Lynn.
I have done it a couple times.
Matthew, we're all guilty. We all participated.
Honestly, it's not your guys' fault. It was people around here being dicks.
I know, but we weren't helping.
Yeah.
You weren't helping.
When we busted out, like our favorite movies and worst movies of the years or whatever, and I was just...
You pretended to hate the movie. So he's distracted. Yeah, go back to that one, guys. It was our best worst films of 2018. and Matt pretended to hate episode 8 with Nick on air, just to completely throw Nick for a loop, and me and Matt were in on it.
Yes.
And I pretended to argue with you and be like, Matt, what is wrong with you? The whole time it was actually your favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
With
But on
that
that,
all,
so
yeah,
okay,
I still feel bad about that.
but on that note, so here's my question regarding Obi-Wan disappearing, because that was old school canon. He disappeared, but they never gave a reason for it. It was just an effect that Lucas went for, and he never explained it in context of the plot. But now forward fast to episode 8, where Rian Johnson, I think, paid homage to the idea of a Jedi expounding his ability to a point where it caused him to physically disappear, because that is what we see happen with Luke Skywalker at the end once he uses all his energy to project himself out onto the field in front of Kylo Ren to confront him, and he's not actually there. And once all is said and done, we see Luke Skywalker just disappear out of his robes off into the force like ether. And I feel like maybe that might have been Rian Johnson's little homage to Kenobi doing the same thing, disappearing upon being struck by Vader. It's kind of a nice little parallel, and I don't know if it was. I feel like it had to have been intentional.
I've always people can go back and watch these episodes, and
Oh,
every
you're
time
saying you
we talk
called
about
it? Come on.
no, like I've been
Okay.
saying it this whole time that he was, off somewhere else, and he did that whole thing just years before Luke did. Kind of a thing where, like,
Yeah. I don't think we as a group have never discussed the comparisons, mainly because we were waiting for certain members to get caught up. But Lynn, what are your thoughts having now seen that
I
and me
find
making
it
this
funny.
comparison?
I find it funny that Luke pulls an Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan did it near or in the vicinity of Luke to where Luke could see it. And
In a moment when he wasn't even fully trained yet, too.
yeah, how would Luke magically know how to do it?
Okay, but again, like I said, I don't want to go outside of the scope of this episode by busting out with
That's
theories,
where I'm gonna leave it. Is how does he know how to do that?
And here's the thing, I'm gonna tease our audience by saying I've got some ideas to throw back at you, but I'm gonna hold off as we move forward, and we'll revisit that when we watch episode 9 and we start going into more about Star Wars. We'll come back to it. Does that sound cool? We'll come back to it. Guys, our final reveal, and we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown on it, was the details on the first ever, this will be the first ever in the history of Star Wars and Lucasfilm to actually put out a live action series. Now we're going to be getting a couple more in the future, but this will be the first one to air officially, and I think all of us will probably agree that based on the trailer alone, they are definitely not skimping on budgetary concerns for this as far as production value goes. Guys, when you saw the trailer, did it look like just another Star Wars movie trailer as far as quality goes?
yeah.
Looked along those lines, yeah.
I mean, granted, we know it's going to be a series, but just the quality of production looks like it's a movie.
If I'm being completely honest, and I know there's going to be people out there that are like, ugh, why? But
Speak your mind.
there were a few unpolished edges that will make it still feel like a TV show. And that was the lack of CG on the Twi'lek in the trailer.
Yeah.
It was very
What
nothing
CG needs to be on a Twi'lek?
Every movie has had a Twi'lek CG. to get
Are
rid
you
of
are you talking about the
the
chick with the two big trunks going over her head like dreadlocks?
Yep. And it's to get rid of the hard makeup lines. And in the trailer, you could
Oh,
see all the hard makeup lines.
interesting. You really looked hard at that because it was such a brief scene that she makes that little nasty face as she turns around. It's very quick. Were
Yep.
you watching it in 4K, sir?
No, I'm watching on my phone.
All right,
Yeah,
fair
my
enough.
phone's got 4K.
There's
Well,
and then
I-
there's the bars. There's the bar scene where he's sitting across from the guy who I called Lando, but I was mistaken. And there's some parts in the background that definitely feel more like a TV show than a movie.
Interesting.
You
I'm
know, just
not.
just no, it's just unpolished edges, you know.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah,
Like
I respect your
things that
thoughts. Yeah.
a TV show really wouldn't be worried about, but a movie would go, okay, I'm going to comb this scene and finish up all the edges. But
Okay. Okay.
so it's definitely higher quality. It's like Game of Thrones quality, but it doesn't have the 100% polished edges.
Well, we will have to revisit your opinion after the pilot launches, because
Yeah,
on November 12th, that's all we're getting is
they,
literally just the pilot.
they might actually finish it up, you know what I mean? Especially if they're doing it week to week. Like they might actually go back and those scenes that I was talking about, they might actually polish them up. Watch the Twi'lek. Like when it does go to that point, watch it and see if they do polish her up. Because like right around her brow, you can see a hard line where the bald cap goes on.
Yeah, I just watched it recently, and I kind of caught that when I was looking at it. That and
I'm gonna
wasn't she
stop
supposed
this.
to be green at the same time though too?
Twi'leks come in the forms of greens and blues. And I've
Oh,
even
that's
seen
true.
red
That's true.
ones
That's true.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a variety with the race. Just like humans, we come in all sorts of shades.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
done.
all right, guys, here is what we know about the production and casting. It is written and executive produced by Emmy-nominated producer, actor, and Disney legend Jon Favreau, aka Mr. Happy from the Spider-Man films, aka director of the Iron Man 1 film, the guy that brought Tony Stark to our lives. The
And the Lion
Mandalorian,
King.
huh? Yes, and credited to directing the Lion King remake. I know, Lynn. The Mandalorian is the first ever live-action Star Wars series, as I recently mentioned, set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. So after Episode 6, but before Episode 7. The series follows a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. The cast includes Pedro Pascal. He is the Mandalorian. And in the trailer, they kept him covered the entire time. And this, I think, we're still excited about the show, and we're excited to see what he does. I think that's a credit to the fact that, it doesn't take a celebrity's face to sell us on a character. I'm excited about this.
When I heard his
It
voice,
was
I kind of that too.
It was
But
what,
when I,
Lynn?
No, Matt was
Awkward
saying that
silence.
when he heard the voice is
Oh,
what did it for him. But
yeah, dude.
for me it was the action sequences and then seeing someone else frozen in carbonite other than Han Solo.
Yes, that was cool.
That got me a little chub.
Well, okay, we'll get into the details of the trailer shortly. But following the casting of Pedro Pascal, we've got Gina Carano, Carl Weathers, Giancarlo Esposito, who, if you guys watched Breaking Bad, know that he was the kingpin of El Pollo Loco.
yes,
That guy. Emily Swallow, Ahmed Abtahi, Werner Herzog, and
Nick Nolte.
Executive producer Dave Filoni directed the first episode with Deborah Chow, Rick Famuyiwa, so sorry, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Taika Waititi directing subsequent episodes. Yes. Kathleen Kennedy and Colin Wilson are producers, and Karen Gilchrist is co-executive producer. So we got a great cast. We've got some great directors being put into the mix. And guys, I think now is the best time ever to just kind of break down this trailer. And I've got bullet point descriptions of kind of the direction of all the different scenes we saw. So the very beginning of the trailer presents us with the silent Mandalorian marching past bloodied stormtrooper helmets piled around sandy streets on pikes in macabre displays. There's no doubt that this particular corner of the galaxy has shown no mercy to the Empire that once ruled over it. I thought this was very interesting. They're kind of showcasing their outlaw prowess by having no shame in showing who they're willing to kill, and we've got stormtrooper helmets on pikes. So I thought that was cool.
Tatooine has never been a friend to the Empire or the Rebellion.
I mean, this is all true.
Amen to that.
Before the trailer ever introduces any of the show's characters, we see the Mandalorian ship, the Razor Crest, soaring across lush green forests before the mysterious bounty hunter approaches the first desolate town. Throughout the clip, we see a string of dramatic-looking locations, each one unique. After our nameless bounty hunter walks into town, the trailer shows him in a cantina where we see Carl Weathers as Grief Marda, leader of a bounty hunting guild. It's Marda that sends the unnamed Mandalorian to track an asset of great value. Unfortunately, though, the trailer subtly teases that storyline. We hear nothing from him, which shrouds him in even more mystery, thanks to the brief shot that preceded him. Dun dun dun. Just before we see Marta, the clip focuses on a set of objects, one being the light blue crystalline object on the cantina table. And nice nerdy little lore knowledge here I'm about to spit out at you guys. In Mandalorian culture, light blue often symbolizes reliability and is a mark of the Mandalorian pacifists. The pacifist leader Satine Kryze from Star Wars Rebels wore jewels similar in appearance to the crystal in the trailer. It could be a coincidence, or it could be a sign that the Mandalorian will show the collapse of the peaceful regime of Mandalore. There's some nice backstory that this show could definitely bring forth.
Straight up concentrated midichlorians in a crystal.
Ho, 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 ho. Canonizing all sorts of aspects of Star Wars. Lore. Mm-hmm. See what you did there. Pedro Pascal plays the titular Mandalorian. He's a warrior constantly caught in dangerous encounters with rival bounty hunters, criminals, and other unsavory figures in this dark corner of the galaxy. We see him in brutal fights. At one point, decapitating an opponent with the ship doors there. This was sick. He took like a hook shot type thing, pulled his body over the doorstep and fired his blaster at the switch, and it does that spiral closing, and the scene cuts right as it's about to slice him in half. At one point decapitating an opponent with the doors, and it seems he appears to be alone for a lot of it, but we clearly see he can handle himself. Boba Who, because clearly we're seeing some next level badass stuff. There's one scene where he's slamming a guy down on a table and then throwing some fists back, reminiscent of freaking Batman v Superman and his Batman's like tactical fighting in those scenes, which were probably the best part of that entire film. My opinion, anyway. Few people shown in the trailer seem as menacing as the unnamed mysterious elder, played by legendary filmmaker Werner Herzog. We know from past reports that he is playing the commander of a unit of Imperial stormtroopers who, as you'll remember, now lack an empire to defend. The fact that Herzog's character appears to be in the midst of conducting business with the Mandalorian reminds us that our protagonist is not a hero or a villain. He's a warrior for hire.
It's a hero.
Oh, he's a hero for hire, man. He's a merc.
Mm-hmm.
A merc. And it'll be interesting to see what devious task the former Imperial troops have for him. Despite the defeat of its Sith Lords, the Empire is still a formidable organization, albeit nowhere near as feared or respected as it once was. The trailer flashes numerous droids, soldiers clad in armor, shown to be led by an unnamed soldier played by Giancarlo Esposito, and a functional ATST we saw walking through the streets in a couple scenes there. Considering the time period in which The Mandalorian is set, we could either be seeing the last desperate struggle of the Empire or the rise of the First Order. So that's kind of the question left up in the air as to what's the main drive for these stormtroopers mixed in with the Mandalorian doing his own thing.
There was also that ATST on that weird swamp planet, where the foot curls.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
the first time I've ever seen an ATST with the
toe movement in its foot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it had multiple digits to it. Like it could almost scale cliffs or something, which was weird.
That's an interesting proposition, dude, because it could be a rebuilt ATST from the war, because this takes place after Episode 6 when the Empire fell.
Yeah.
And there's
it looks something like Endor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's where a lot of them were at the end of that struggle.
Yeah.
With the Ewoks. Which begs the question, are we going to see any Ewoks in this show?
You'll definitely see Jawas. There's a guy cast as Jawa.
Yeah, were there any flashes of them? I feel like I saw one in the trailer somewhere, no?
I don't remember seeing any in the trailer, but there is a guy cast as a Jawa, is what it said.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense.
I did also see a trader race that I've never really seen before that came riding up on like a two-legged, like a bipedal dinosaur.
It reminded me of those four-legged toads on Tatooine, but half like a half body with just two legs.
Yeah.
Because it kind of had that amphibious frog-like face to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But dude, guys, in general, like the overall production, especially action sequences and like the ships and fighting and stuff, look pretty top notch.
Hey, that skinny-headed droid that is in that one cut.
That's officially not IG-88.
Yeah,
They actually
he is
IG-11. They confirmed IG-11. And he's a practical effect for a lot of the movie. They might throw in a little bit of CG here and there, but and it looks like he's going to whatever the mocap stuff they do with it. I heard that Taika Waititi is going to actually be manning or controlling the droid for that.
That character is in the Cartoon Network.
Oh no, sorry, correction. Taika Waititi is actually going to be voicing IG-11. That's what I heard. That's what was confirmed.
Yeah. But that character comes from the Cartoon Network series.
Oh, that specific one?
He is one of the bounty hunters from the Cartoon Network series.
The more you know. The more you know, dear listeners. Matthew, any other kind of thoughts or points you feel about The Mandalorian?
Can it be November yet?
Right.
October, November. Dude, we got like 7 weeks. We got 7 weeks, dude. Yeah.
That's too long. We need to make a time. Where's Doc Brown when you need him?
Nope.
Hey,
Nope.
how do you guys feel about? I'm sure we'll be trying our best to keep up week to week as it's coming out. How do you guys feel about doing like a little mini spoiler cast mixed in with our normal episode recordings on said Mandalorian series?
I'm down.
I will be down. I will be watching that as the episodes come out.
Yeah, I think all of us will be. For
'Cause
sure.
I know I'm gonna have Disney Plus.
Yeah, so no reason you won't be clicking on it.
So it comes out on Tuesdays. Okay.
Well, that gives us
That's-
that gives
Alright.
us enough time to throw together opinions and a little bullet point notes on each episode, and then that following Friday we talk about it and include it in our episode or make it a separate little recording.
I was just hoping that it's gonna be Fridays. That way we could just be like right after the show, be like, all right, guys.
Right. But this gives me time to like fully enjoy it with the kids in bed, and then you know what I mean, and then we reconvene for a recording time. But I know what you mean. It would be nice to watch it fresh and then just fire on all cylinders. But guys, that wraps up everything that we care about and that I could find on the D23 announcements.
More
I
High
did have other.
School the musical.
What's up?
More High School the musical. The High School of the musical.
No, I have no reason to personally. I have no reason to click on that show.
I watched all 3 movies.
I mean, that's just me. Matt might be our one in from the other listeners out there that want to hear an opinion about it.
Lynn's just like, I've lost all respect for you.
No, there's no respect lost.
No, dude,
You should have seen how hard I was laughing at it yesterday.
Matthew, to be fair, if that lost his respect, then you lost his respect a long time ago, unless he has never heard of the fact that you've watched all the Twilight movies and actually like them.
Hey, there was only one reason why.
Sorry.
I am Team Alice.
I mean, unless Lynn is completely on the Twilight band camp and I did not know that, then I guess this is a failed joke.
No, I'm not, but I couldn't care less.
All
Do
right.
you know who Alice is at least?
What's that?
Do you know who Alice is at least?
That's the girl, I'd assume. The one in the middle. Or what am I missing here?
The one in the middle. What do you?
He doesn't know who Team Alice is. There's Edward. Then there's Taylor Lautner, and then Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, and a Kristen Stewart in the middle. But that's not Alice.
Mm-mm.
No. So who's
Ashley
Team Alice?
Green? Her name's
Who?
Ashley Green. She's
Well-
a very short hair vampire. That's one of the sisters. Anyways, never mind.
We are going on a tangent that does not need to be included here, so
Yeah.
I apologize,
There's-
listeners. We're good.
There's where I'm at.
Just look up Ashley Green. You will understand.
I don't hate it. You're fine.
I was just throwing shade at Matthew. It was meant to be a joke. I'm sorry.
It's not like I like the movies. I just like her.
Fair enough. I had other news I wanted to cover, but through technical difficulties, we cut out the Apple TV Plus news. I'll come back to that another time, guys. For those that even care, I'm interested by what's coming out with it, but we'll talk about it another time. So, guys, I'm gonna wrap this dang show up now that we've successfully recorded as much as I'd hoped we would. Dear listeners, final couple tidbits here. If you are listening to us in podcast form, we are on multiple areas presently now, and you guys can find us across Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes and Google Play. Those are all the main ones you can find us on for audio listening. And if you guys want to see our ugly mugs, you can go to YouTube and look up Nerdentials there. We post our video versions of the podcast every week. And if you want more content like walkthroughs, reviews, or opinion articles that cover all sorts of other nerdy things, guys, the one cool location you can go to is nerdentialsmedia.com. That is right, folks. Go to nerdentialsmedia.com to get all your nerdy needs quantified. But that's gonna do it for this week, guys. This is our D23 coverage. Thank you for joining us. This has been your Nerdy Essentials, my friends. As always, we'll see you on the other side.
Can't push. Guy.
Shout out to the late Jeff Berry. No, he's still alive, but that used to be his thing.